DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
Good morning, everyone. It is Monday morning, and it is time to talk DJ with the one and only Ron Ruth. Good morning, Ron.
Good morning, John. Hey,
you are kind
of morning show.
A morning show, and you are kicking off our first live morning show. That weird glow you're seeing, that's the sun that's shining.
I feel like Charlie Gibson on Good Morning America, man. This is like, wow.
You should.
You're probably too young to know who Charlie Gibson was.
I do know who Charlie Gibson is, but there's so many others I would have picked, because let's face it, our audience.
I miss Charlie. I still to this day I write letters to ABC. Where's Charlie Gibson?
What do you do in your spare time? Well, you see, I write letters to ABC.
Yeah, I do. Get off my lawn. So guys, good to see you, man. I brought coffee. I have coffee. I hope you brought coffee.
Yep, we got some in the chat room today. We are broadcasting to both Facebook and YouTube. If you are watching us on Facebook, we're going to be most of the chat happens on our YouTube chat. We've got Thomas in there, Sean is in there, Jose. Yeah, Jose. Wow, Jose's not even at work yet. I mean, he's out in California, so it's like 7-something a.m. there. That's dedication.
That's the way we roll with Jose.
That's dedication. We're getting up early and talking weddings today with Ron Ruth. Ron, you had a whole itinerary of things you wanted to go through today.
I do, but
I want to start with the pizza one though.
You want to start with the pizza one?
I want to start with the pizza.
Okay.
Because and for those of you, Ron and we've done numerous shows and we've talked about some different ideas he's had with different aspects of his meeting and creative and planning side of it.
Yeah, so since we're talking about weddings this morning, and creativity and that sort of thing, and one of the things I've talked about on any number of occasions, and actually written several articles on page 6 of Disc Jockey News.
What page is that again? I'm sorry.
That was page 6 on Disc Jockey News.
Oh, page 6. We like that page.
6, yes. So anyway, I've written about how I stumbled upon a creative opportunity. Years ago, I decided to start ordering pizza for when my clients would come to the office to talk about the planning session, because the planning session could take 2.5-3 hours.
Yes.
And I knew most of them were coming from work, and so I ordered pizza just so they wouldn't be hungry, so they would be focused on planning rather than on wanting to get out because they're hungry. So, and as it turned out, as a side note, pizza actually is sharing a meal is a great way of also getting creative ideas. But anyhow, So my idea evidently has caught on. I got a postcard not long ago that said, "Look,
can we say
pizza
you're a trendsetter?"
And pizza and pre-planning. And look, it's a postcard. It has a picture of a pizza on it.
Beautiful postcard.
Yeah, this is like way more than what I would have ever done. But it's funny because it's pizza pre-planning for a funeral. Which, first off, I'm wondering why I got on this list. How did that happen? I mean, it's like I got a card not long ago for a prepaid cremation, free prepaid cremations, which I'm trying to figure out how you have free and prepaid in the same sentence, but neither here nor there. The best part about this card is that this is at the Pizza Ranch. This is not just a pizza. This is pizza, chicken, dessert, all you can eat, man. Talking about your funeral. I mean, it doesn't get any better than this. And I'm a fan now of this Speaks Funeral Home. We'll do a little plug for them because I'm a fan, and I think that this is an awesome idea. So. Yeah,
that's interesting.
So,
how your popularity and fame from Page
This
has
was my idea,
expanded
John.
to the funeral industry, and you're going to be taking over that industry. And you thought the only way you were going to get into the funeral industry was on the other side, but no, you're having an effect.
just to go ahead and die. Yeah,
that's about really most of us have an influence, but no, not Ron. Ron finds a way to do it.
Oh, it's awful. But yeah, I mean, that's what is it? Imitation is the purest form of flattery, and that the expression or something similar. I am flattered. I am like extremely flattered that they took my idea, and as Randy Bartlett would say, they took an idea and made it their own.
Yeah, they did. They really did. I mean,
they did, and I just think that's incredible. So there you go. So yeah, there's the pizza thing when it comes to creativity and weddings. That's all I've got, John. Sorry.
And just to build off that, though, I mean that idea and how they utilized it. There's some things within that it's like, that postcard. If you did a bridal show or you were able to compile a list of some potential, that's a cute little postcard idea to send out, and how they did some things. Just do a typical DJ thing. White out the word funeral home. Put your Ron Ruth wedding, and it would be great. It would be great.
Actually, and that's yes and creative thinking. Which, I mean, yes and how else would this work? Which brings me. It's like you just led me into this.
Well, there's one more thing before you get to that. This will get you there too.
All right.
You notice how in the front of that card, now they are in the funeral business. Now think about when DJs do something, and what would they put on the front of the card? They'd probably put a microphone. Gear, exactly. Do you see any embalming gear there? No.
Do you see a casket? No.
It's okay. Now I'm done, Ron. We made our points.
That's actually a very good point. Yeah, I mean, it's a funeral home. Did they put a casket on? No, they did not. So why are you putting your gear?
They're not showing bad makeup jobs or anything.
We were talking before we went on the air about how this is the first live morning show, and depending on how it goes, it could be the last.
We don't.
So you were talking about yes and creative thinking. Yes, and if this works for that, then you could do something which is like a lead in. I'm so excited today because I got like three things. I guess at least three things I want to talk about, probably more. One of them is that with the yes and creative thinking, ARM DJs is coming up. Did you know that?
I've heard that the ARMS is coming up and Robbie's getting married.
Robbie's getting married, right?
It's all coming together as one big event.
Absolutely. And it's ARM DJs. It's going to be the 19th through the 21st of June. And I'm doing a live. Well, I hope to still be alive then. I will be doing a free workshop on the 19th, an improv workshop. It's like a 2-hour workshop. It's absolutely free. And then I'm doing a presentation. I'm like one of look at this. Look at this all-star list of presenters. Yeah. I mean, look at these guys. I mean, is that not a handsome bunch of guys right there?
That is a bunch of guys.
I mean, that guy right there, he's a player right there. Yeah. I don't know. But at any rate, this bunch of guys are all going to be speaking at ARM DJs. I'm doing, since I'm here on your show right now, I'm going to plug my presentation, which is going to be on Tuesday afternoon, the 20th. It is Business Unscripted, Lessons in Improv for Wedding Pros, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It's interactive, and I'm very proud of this presentation, and it's going to be exciting. So that's just one thing that's coming up real soon. I want to talk about. Also, want to talk about Wedding MBA is coming up. Did you know that?
I do. I did. I'm excited. I've got my room reserved. There's that cardboard box in the alley. If you pay a few bucks, you can get that. So I'm on schedule for that. I'm pretty excited.
Maybe you could get complimentary overnight stays at one of the funeral homes. I don't know.
Exactly. Give them a little plug for their pizza.
Betting provided. Yeah, for free pizza. But at any rate, Wedding MBA is coming up October 2nd through the October 4th. I'm going to be presenting there. October 3rd, Imagination Station Creativity Lab for Wedding Pros. I am so excited about this because I talk a lot about thinking outside of the box and taking risk and doing things that you've never done before. Without giving too much away, this presentation is going to be, it's just going to be a lot of fun. And I would encourage you, if you have an opportunity to go to Wedding MBA, to make sure that if you can go. I mean, Wedding MBA is like, it is the conference of conferences every year. Yeah. And especially, I mean, when you're talking about the wedding industry as a whole, I mean, it draws like over 2,000 people. It's at the conference center in Las Vegas. Check it out, weddingmba.com, and get tickets for that. I've also got, I mean, I feel like I'm just plug.
Yeah, you are. Well, we're getting this out of the way before we get into...
Right. Well, so then last but not least, the Audio Amazing Love Story is going to be an online course because a lot of DJs said I can't make it to the workshops.
Yep.
So audioamazinglovestory.com, you can get all the information on that as well. And so check that out because it's going to be launching the middle of July. Into July, you can get on the newsletter list and be like a VIP first to know person. So I think I have plugged everything that I have to plug at this point. So
nice.
So are we done here now?
No. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's it. Well, thanks for watching, everybody.
A 90-minute plug show. So you want to talk about creativity this morning?
I think so.
And we want to talk about weddings. And I want to talk about a post I saw on Facebook not long ago, because people post the darndest things on Facebook. I don't get it.
Did say the darndest.
I know, and I don't remember. And it really doesn't really matter what group it was in, but there was something to the effect, and I'm not going to quote it directly, but it was something to the effect of, who's to blame, or no, not who's to blame. It was more like, should DJs be more willing to say that they don't know, that they can't do certain things before taking a job? In other words, if you aren't experienced enough to do this particular wedding, should you be taking the job?
Mm-hmm.
And I saw a reply which just amused me, that said, that's not, you blame the client for that because they should have known what they were getting into before they book that DJ. And I'm trying to understand that logic about, well, first off, blame the client, whether it's creativity or anything else. 3 words that should never enter into any business vernacular is blame the client. Just not a good idea. But I'm trying to understand why someone would think that's the route that you would go. I mean, how are they don't know what they don't know. So how are they going to know if the DJ is experienced enough to be able to do that? But it also begs the question of, and I'd be curious if any of the people on that are part of our little group this morning, which begs the question, how many people actually take on a job without, if they're inexperienced at it, without letting the client know that maybe they're going to need a little help along the way. I don't, I think we've all seen the posts that come on any number of chat boards that, I have a wedding coming up this weekend and they want me to do this thing. And how do I do this thing? And you've had that wedding on the books for 6 months, and it never occurred to you to sit down with the customer and ask them, okay, so first off, why is this important to you?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you can understand the why, that'll also help you with the how.
Yep, precisely. That's a great way to start.
And then also, if you don't know what it is that they're asking you to do, maybe it'd be a good idea to say, help me out here. What have you seen done? Where did you evidently may have seen this somewhere or read about it somewhere? What is it that you saw or read? And that you can share with me that'll make it easier for me to help you out with that.
And I think that's a great way to start with that. What they've seen and what they've read, because sometimes they have this idea, and I'm gonna the newlywed game that some refer to it as, or the shoe game, which is what we commonly know, is that they've seen it or they've read about it, and they're like, I've got to do this at my wedding, and if I've never done that before, well, then I find out that they don't know much more about it than I do. Well, then to a point, we can create something cool together that fits them. But if they've seen if they saw a Ron Ruth doing it, who's got a very smooth, polished presentation with how he does it.
Wow.
And then if I come and try to do it and I've never done it before, I'm going to look like a horrible hack and be she's going to be completely disappointed in my abilities and such. And I think that's finding out what they know about it, the why, and then their experience with it is so critical, because if you don't know, you're opening yourself up to make a fool of yourself really quickly.
Well, that's why I think it's so important. I mean, to actually get to know your customer. I mean, part of creativity, a good part of creativity, the good part of being creative is being able to communicate with the people you're working with, and not treating a customer as a customer or a client as a client, treating them as a creative partner. And that's why I taken the kind of, like I said, blame the customer doesn't belong in the business vernacular. I've tried really hard to remove the terms client and customer from my relationship with the people I work with. They're my creative partners, because it is the information they provide me is what allows me to do special, fun things for them, things that are going to be memorable. And if you have that type of relationship too, it makes it far easier to say, I don't understand. Help me out here. What is it that I don't come from the mindset that, hey, because we have the word professional by our name, that means that we're all knowing. We're not. I mean, everybody's going to have those situations where they don't know exactly what it is that's required of them. And rather than guessing, to me, it just makes more sense to say, I don't understand. And I can't think of anybody that would ever fault you for saying, I don't understand.
Right.
I used to work for a guy when I was in a different industry years and years and years ago. My district manager had a sign on his desk that said, please be obscure more clearly, meaning, if he would ask you a question and you would try to dance around the answer to that question, that he wasn't going to buy it. And actually, he would get ticked off at you if he would ask you a question and you tried to fake your way through the answer.
Right.
And I feel the same. That's one of the greatest lessons I learned in what we do as wedding professionals. Is I believe that we need to be more forthright and honest with our customers and more open, and just say, you know what, I don't understand. And rather than trying to fake you, I can do that. And then go online and say, okay, how do I do this? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me at all. Don't we have a rule about turning your phones off, John?
I think we do. Mine's off. Okay. Ben, and that kind of leads into the direction. Ben on YouTube. And thank you guys for watching. If you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook this morning, if you have questions, please put those in the chat.
Oh, absolutely.
We've got some good comments coming in here. But Ben had asked, if you don't know what to do, should you come out and tell them you don't, or how would you handle that? Or do you just fake it and hope you make it?
No, don't fake it. No, God, please don't fake it. You're just you're gonna drive yourself crazy, and you're probably it's not going to be good. I mean, the outcome of faking is never going to be good. No, just say, I've never done that before. If just be honest about it. I've never done it before. Maybe you could help me out with what it is that maybe you've seen something, or what is it? I think it's more of a Minnesota tradition than it is a Midwest tradition. John, don't they have in Minnesota the tradition of stealing the bride?
That was a
big thing at one point. Yeah,
80s and early 90s. It was
okay.
Huge.
So it's okay. So I'm really dating myself.
No. Unfortunately, at some of my events, I'll still have that, and it's like, you've got to be absolutely freaking kidding me. You're spending $20,000 to $30,000 on that meal and the reception, and you're going to go out and you're going to get blitzed, so you won't even remember any of it.
Yeah, and then on top of that, you're stealing the guest of honor. Yeah. But I remember, I mean, the first time somebody asked me to do that, and I just said, you know what, I've never done it before, so you're going to have to help me out. What is it that how does this work? Explain it to me.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the first gay couple I worked with. I remember, in the communication back and forth, it was Chad and Kelly. So, you know, when you see the names, you don't know, and it doesn't matter. But I remember them saying, I remember in the final email before the meeting, I got an email where Chad said, you know, just if it matters, we're gay. And I said, hey, you know, let me know. And I said, it doesn't matter to me if it doesn't matter to you that I've never done a gay wedding before. And they emailed me back and said, neither have we. So, I mean, it works out so that, I mean, just being honest, I mean, pays off. And they wound up booking me, and I did their wedding. We had a great time. But I just think bad things can happen from misleading people, because then you're going to find yourself in a situation where you're trying to it's not going to go well.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
I don't want to keep beating that dead horse.
No, but I think definitely, you know, Ben is as Ben saying, is that kind of newer to the business and really wants to know how to handle it, because there's going to be a lot of opportunities. And one area I'd like to add to that is you know, to share that you did that, you know, I this is something new for me, and I'd love to help you out with this if I can and such, or however. And talking about the resources, especially those who are in the DJNTV here, and it's a shameless plug, for those in the DJNTV Insider area, is that there's some great questions asked at a much higher level. And being that you're in there and you've got people like Ron and myself and others who can share, I mean, even you've got Howie and different folks that just have a wealth of knowledge and are more than willing to share, and Aaron's in the crew with us, and just a lot of great stuff. So when there are opportunities like this, being honest, being straightforward, and just, you know, hey, I'm not sure, you know, let's put this together. I've got some great resources that I can pull from, and we can just really design something creative, and you guys are gonna have a lot of fun with.
Well, and I think that, you know, even for, and I'm sorry, the young, was it Ben that you were talking about that's been chiming in here? Just
yes, Ben D. Yes.
Okay. All right. So Ben, I'm talking to you directly as someone that's new. I have no problem with, and I would encourage you, if in doubt, say to a client, you know what, I'm still kind of new at this, but I'm willing, you know, I'm willing to help you out and learn. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody, how's the expression go? It's something to the effect, even Merlin was an apprentice at one point. We all started somewhere. And there's nothing wrong with saying, I'm just getting started. I'd rather do that. I'd rather see somebody do that instead of saying, oh yeah, I can do this and that and the other, and then not be able to deliver on those problems. God, I feel like I'm full of cliches this morning. Another one is under promise, over deliver. I mean, you can't under promise and over deliver by making promises you can't keep. Right. You just can't. And part of the beauty of our industry is that so much of it's built on exceeding expectations and word of mouth. And you're going to destroy your word of mouth, the potential of word of mouth marketing if you can't deliver on your promises. So, and
I think that it doesn't go just for newer DJs. Now, I've talked to many DJs who are, you know, 20 years into it, like well, Ron, you're not quite 20 years into it, but I'm a little older, so I'm 20 years plus into it. But there's times where we have done things, and we have done things at a very high level, and our clients start to expect those types of things. And even though we're experienced as such, sometimes we don't perform up to our capabilities, which is certainly a different area than what we're talking about. But the idea that you can not exceed expectations as a newbie, and you cannot exceed expectations as an experienced professional. It's all that whole disappointing of a client thing that, as you say, Ron, leads to lack of referrals, because they're like, oh, well, I saw Ron, you know, a month ago, and gosh, he rocked that introduction, and this introduction was like,
Well, and keep in mind too, what works for me doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you. I mean, God gave us all different personalities. I mean, and that's the beauty of it. We all can, you know, I love a lot of the ideas, pardon me, that I hear coming from all sorts of different avenues in this industry. But just because it works for one person doesn't mean it's necessarily going to work for somebody else, because there is a lot of personality at play here. And you have to be very comfortable within your own skin to be able to pull some of this stuff off. The other thing I would say to not just Ben, but to other, I don't care how long you've been in this industry, as much as I love online stuff, the ability now that we have in social media, being able to get immediate answers to questions, I would encourage people two things. One, don't stop here. Take training.
Yes.
I mean, God, go take some of the workshops that are offered to DJs, but not just workshops that are being offered to DJs. I mean, you can take speaking classes, you can take improv. Improv is one of my favorite things in the world. It's really helped me out as a DJ. I mean, you can take acting classes. All of these things are going to help you as a performer. But then you could also take any number of the workshops that are available through like Peter Mary and Liz Daly and Bill Herman. And I mean, it's just a huge list of performance workshops out there. But last but not least out of this is that to me, it's imperative to find a mentor, somebody that you can really talk to, somebody that you can exchange ideas with, somebody that will challenge your creative thinking rather than just feeding you information. One of the downsides of information online is that I can ask a question and I get all these people that want to give me answers, but nobody really challenges me creatively to say, why? What are your thoughts? What are you thinking first? Tell me what you're thinking, and then let's talk about how, because that could very well be the right answer. It may not be tuned correctly yet, but we can actually yes and it or talk more about it and make it work for you. The first instincts are a lot of times are the best instinct.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that I would have to agree with that one. There's many times where it's like, initially we thought this, and then we talked ourselves out of it, and we should have trusted it.
Yeah, I think we're all guilty of that at some point. So, but I think also I want to talk about, we're on the topic of this, is that the reality is that it doesn't matter who's teaching creativity or teaching courses that are going to benefit your creative thinking. A lot of this stuff, I mean, it's not because I'm some sort of genius that I come up with some of the ideas I come up with. It's because of other resources that I find of value to me. And I wanted to turn everybody on to a book that I discovered. This book I discovered last November. I got it as a gift for attending Heroic Public Speaking, which is the Michael Port conference. And it's called Everyone's an Artist, which it could be retitled Everyone's Creative. And I would very much encourage everyone to pick up a copy of this book. I don't know if it's available as a Kindle. I'm guessing it probably is, or even as an ebook. But pick it up and read this book. There's some great stuff in here that'll get your creative juices flowing and get you thinking creatively, which what creativity is all about, is being able to not be afraid to think outside the box. And then another great book is Steal the Show, which I don't have a picture of because I have as a Kindle book. But Steal the Show, which is written by Michael Port, which is another great book on how to enhance your creativity so you can be more creative in the thought process. So just a couple things I would suggest. Yeah.
Ben was wondering about the thought. I want to let you talk about that, about having more than one mentor, if that's a good idea, or if a person basically just sticks with one mentor.
I have lots of mentors. John is a mentor of mine. Peter Mary is a mentor. Jim Cerrone is my mentor. Randy Bartlett is I sound like now I'm just name dropping. But seriously, I mean, conflicting ideas is a great part of the creative process, is to have people that can offer you a variety of ideas when a variety of ideas are needed. So have more than one. But keep this in mind. Make sure that the people that you choose are not people that are going to constantly tell you what to do. You want people that are going to share in a conversation with you, brainstorm with you,
really to
collaborate
help you
with you.
Think through things.
Right. You don't want somebody who goes, well, you should do it this way. And I don't, I'm really not name dropping, but just as an example, because I think this is a great example. Peter Mary is one of my best friends, but he's also one of my greatest mentors. And like when I write a script for either a love story or for a wedding party introduction, sometimes I question whether what I've written is any good or not. And a lot of times I'll call him and I'll go, hey, I just want to run this by you. What do you think of this?
Mm-hmm.
And then I get his feedback. Sometimes I change what I've written. Other times he makes me feel more comfortable with what I've written. But the point is that, he's not always going to agree with everything that he'll say, well, maybe it would be better if you try this. Have you thought about this direction instead of this direction? So those are the kind of relationships I would encourage everyone in this industry to have, is other creative minds to work to hang out with.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree, because there's different people who have different views, and
right.
And I think that idea of challenging a person is so. Our tendency is to look for yes men.
Right.
Let's see. I'm going to talk to Ron because I know Ron loves every idea I have, so I'm going to just say, Ron, here's an idea, because I know he's going to say yes, and that's what I want to hear today.
Right. Well, and here's the other thing too, and this is really important. And Ben, if you're still with us, hey, reach out to me if you want to. But here's my only requirement. And not just to Ben, but to everybody I've ever worked with in the past that wants to be a mentor or wants to mentor with me. And that is, don't come to the table with your hand open. Come with an idea. Bring something to the table. I've had lots of people ask me in the past, and I'm not making this up. I've had people ask me in the past, hey, Ron, as an example, how do you charge the fee that you're able to charge?
Right.
And I would say to them, okay, here's the deal. What I'm happy to share with you, but what I'd like for you to do first is do what I've had to do. Read Selling the Invisible. Read Book Yourself Solid. Read, I don't know, some other book, Be Our Guest as an example. Read these books, come back to me. Let's talk about what you learned and how it applies. I never hear from those people again. But yet I went through that process.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're not going to get, for me to throw stuff in your hand is not going to help you. It's just not. I mean, it may give you it's like a quick fix. It may give you a quick fix and you'll be happy, and then it goes away. I remember a few years ago, I was at a bridal show and I heard somebody talking about an idea of something that they did at a wedding. And there was another DJ nearby, and the DJ said, "Oh, I'm going to try that tonight at my wedding." And they did that thing. And then the following week, I heard from that same DJ complaining that it didn't work.
It doesn't work. No.
Of course it didn't, because it fit that particular couple. It fit that DJ's personality and style as well. It took planning. It took time. You just don't go, oh, I can do that. I mean, we can all do the YMCA. How hard is that? But I think I got it right.
You see, it's more difficult than you thought. No.
Well, the Macarena. Somebody played the Macarena not long ago, and I was like, I don't remember how to do the Macarena.
And yet it goes over well.
That's
another story for another day.
Yeah.
Good.
So what else?
Good stuff. I'm just they've just really been talking about that mentorship is where they're at here in the chat room and such. Michael Durham is with us here on Facebook. Thank you for joining us, Michael.
I love Michael Durham.
Yeah, I've got a lot of folks with us this morning. So thank you guys for getting up.
I love everybody. Yeah, I love it. Did anybody? Wait a minute though. Before we go any further, John, did anybody bring donuts to this little soiree?
Nobody did. I forgot.
Great.
We're without donuts.
We should have we should turn this into a breakfast buffet.
Breakfast.
Yeah,
exactly.
Invite everybody.
Everybody grab a donut.
Grab a donut, ham, eggs. We sit around, we chit chat, have a great time. Yes.
So I've got a question for you, Ron. As
right,
we're
good.
talking about creativity, and specifically when we're having an initial or early communication with brides, is I've just run into myself a string of young ladies who are just wanting to have a simple, and as we start talking, they're truly not, they've not experienced anything beyond a DJ showing up and playing music. So they have no idea of what is beyond and possible. They haven't. They're not into the Pinterest world. They haven't done the. It seems odd when they're not on the internet even at the level that I'm at. How does a person start to introduce ideas in a way that's not going to basically just kind of blow them completely out of the water, because they're envisioning a DJ, playing background music and then announcing their first dance, playing that and announcing that and playing that, and that's it. That's the interaction that they've become accustomed to. How do you start to bring up some creative ideas and start to work with them if they just have no point of reference?
I think that begins with the sales consultation. That's where I started, because that's where most people, that's where you're going to have to change opinion. You're also going to have to change perception as well. I'm not one of these people that tries to compare. This is what you think DJs think of, but that's not what I do. What I do is I just, it starts with a conversation. Let's go a different route. It starts with a conversation. It starts with sincerely being interested in the people that are sitting across from you by asking, tell me a little bit about yourselves. Are you from here? Where'd you go to college? Those sort of things. And then leading into, tell me how did the two of you hook up? How did this happen? You don't have to go deep into depth for a sales consultation, but just by presenting yourself as someone who is genuinely interested in the individual that's sitting across from you, wanting to know more about them and their personality and their style and some of their background, you've already set yourself apart from most other DJs, because most other DJs want to tell you about their blinky lights and the big sound system and how they wear a tuxedo to all of their events. Then from there, you can start kind of working in to the conversation, some of the different things, ideas. But from that initial conversation, I'm going to do an easy one. During an initial consultation, you might find, for me, it's an easy one, find out that somebody that they're big Disney freaks. I mean, so you can already be introducing ideas of things that you can say, you know what, since you love Disney so much, you might want to try this. You might want to try that. You don't want to say, do this, do that.
Right.
Here's an idea. My goal, and I will tell a couple, my goal is to provide you with any number of ideas from which you can pick and choose. I want to shotgun you ideas rather, so that you have all sorts of different opportunities, but I want to make sure that the ideas that I present to you are going to be something that are going to be specific to your personality and style, something that I think that you're really going to be interested in, rather than just giving you ideas that, just because somebody else did it at their wedding. But that's a way that you can start opening that conversation. Hey, you both were a member of this group. Here's some ideas of things that you might want to consider. And then you can work that kind of stuff in throughout the conversation. Just another easy, kind of an easy one is if you have a couple that loves to travel. We met in Chicago, and we while we were dating, we went to all these. We love skiing. We do this. We surf. We do, and then he proposed to me in Miami. Okay, so you have all these different things that are happening. You can say, okay, well, here's as an example for a buffet. Instead of naming tables or just numbering tables, you can name tables after all these wonderful places that you visited,
right,
and connect a song to them, and maybe put something on that table card that tells why this particular city is so important to you. What's the milestone that happened there? Ooh, it was here that he said he loved me. It was here that that we went looking for rings. It was here where, whatever. But you can start working against some of those ideas into that initial conversation. So I hope I'm answering your question, John. The idea is just to start from the very beginning of letting them know that here's some great ideas. And what'll happen is they're going to go, wow, I had no idea. I thought DJs just played music and announced our first dance. And you're so much more than just a DJ, which are my favorite words.
And so much more handsome than I thought DJs would be. Does that come out too?
Yeah, and you look younger in person than you do online. So
it all goes together.
Right.
It all goes together.
And then I invite them for pizza. And
and then you sell them prepaid funeral services. And oh, by the way, not only can you buy this, but for a few dollars more per month.
Yeah.
We can get you.
Yeah. I will help you with your wedding, and
this is a great pizza.
As a bonus add-in, we'll make it an add-on service. We'll also talk about pre-planning for your funeral.
Let's see. Mike Anderson is jumping in here from Living Motion Monograms. If you guys haven't had a chance to check out some Mike stuff, he's got some really cool.
Mike is probably one. Check out his video mapping. That's the stuff that just blows me away. Is that it's just phenomenal what you can do with video nowadays, and what he does with monograms. I mean, do you remember the monograms you used to burn your fingers trying to get the stencil in and out of the light? And it would warp, and you wind up with this thing on the wall that would warp and look terrible.
I thought monograms were just what we used to try to do with our hands in front of the light.
Yeah, we've done some of that as well with
trying to make the birds and things. It was an upsell. Yeah, you can have flying doves in your okay.
But no kidding. I mean, it's funny how technology has advanced. It's just so much.
Oh, it has.
And if you have a technical mind like Mike does, I mean, holy cow, the sky's the limit. I can barely plug in stuff, so
I want to. Ron, Rich shared something here, and I want to, because Rich was saying when he did the introduction of the wedding party, the bride must have been into a Disney, or they were doing a Disney wedding this past weekend. So he used the Disney movie intro for their introduction, and the bride, of course, didn't hear it and didn't acknowledge it in his situation. If you were going to do something like that for a bride, is that something you would share in advance? If you want, would you have surprises like that when you're doing an introduction for the bride?
Okay, so here would be my question. Okay, and I'm not. I'm sorry. Who asked this question? John?
Rich.
Okay, Rich. So I'm not answering. I'm not being critical. But if you're going to surprise the couple, you need to make sure they're going to be around for the surprise. So my question would be. From a creative standpoint, and this is not an original idea of mine because I got it from somebody else who got it from somebody else. So when it comes to introductions nowadays, I really like it if the bride and groom are in the room.
Completely in the room
before, so that they either I would suggest introducing them first. Depending on the type of introductions you do. So let me back up.
Walk me through when you would do that first. That's interesting.
Okay, if you're doing personalized wedding, and again, I want to emphasize this is not my original idea. Okay, this is hand-me-down ideas. But it makes sense. So I do personalized wedding party introductions where I talk about, we have some fun with the wedding party. Again, and by the way, you can learn how to do that through Peter, Mary, and Liz Daly's workshop, Make It Grand. But so I talk about wedding parties as I'm introducing it, and it's so much fun. And all this information has been provided to me from the bride and groom. The wedding party has no idea of anything I'm going to say. So the reactions from the bride from the wedding party is going to be far better if the bride and groom are in the room, so everybody can see each other's faces when this thing is taking place. So a lot of times I will say to a bride and groom, look, don't you want to be in the room when this happens?
Yeah.
So that you can be a part of the fun. So I make that the first thing. I make that a part of the introduction. I introduce them first. Have them come into the room, and then we start introducing people. And then it also, as each person is being introduced, they can hug the bride and groom, then take their place behind the table or wherever it is that I'm going to be sending them. But the bride and groom get to share in all of this. Now, going back to Rich's original question, though, he's using music that is a part of the Disney intro. So the bride and groom would have been out in the hall. So yes, I think I would have said something to the bride and groom in advance, and I would have had the doors open immediately when that music started playing and have them step inside the door or something. I'm not really sure. You'd have to look at the venue and think that through a little bit more. But I'd want them to hear that, because if I'm not mistaken, the Disney opening is "Wish Upon a Star."
Yeah, it has that build in the beginning, and
so you'd want them to be a part of that somehow. So maybe na 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 na, step in, na 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 na, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your guest of honor. Boom. Something. I mean, I'm just off the top of my head,
exactly, without knowing.
But I think I would have made them a part of that, so they would know what's going to happen and stage it. See, that's the other thing is that you learn from people like Bill Herman and from Peter and from Randy is staging is extremely important.
Yeah.
And again, it can work so much to your favor if you think through. It's not just a matter of throwing open the doors and having people walk into a room. It's where do you want them to go when they get into the room? What do you want them to do when they get into the room? So many people send, like DJs will send, as an example. Here's something anybody can use. So when I introduce a wedding party, especially if the bride and groom, or even if the bride and groom come in last, it doesn't matter. Not every bride and groom want to come in first. Some of them want to stay with the traditional thing. But the point is that after the wedding party has been introduced, when they come into the room and I'm introducing them, instead of sending them behind the head table, I usually place them in front of the head table, standing in front of the head table. And then that way, when the bride and groom come in, or even if the bride and groom are already in the room, you have all of these people standing behind the bride and groom and the photographer, and you have all your happy, smiling, friendly faces of your friends kind of like a half circle around you. And so all of that they know in advance. I mean, if I were to just trust them to go there, it would never happen. So I tape mark the floor.
Yep.
This is where you're going to stand. But if they went behind the head table, there would be a long line. And so, you'd get a couple people faces, but that probably wouldn't happen until the end because the best man and maid of honor are going to be the last two introduced and the bride and groom are center. So the only time you're really going to see faces behind them is after the maid of honor and best man have been introduced. And then that way, the segue out of that is into a toast from the parents. So here, taking that a step further, I try to think like a photographer sometimes. So when I meet with a couple, I say, look, if your dad's going to toast, if the bride's dad is going to toast, I look at a wedding as the bringing together of two families. So rather than just having the dad up there with you for the toast, or even for just a welcome, it doesn't have to be a toast. Rather than just having your dad up there, why not bring up all the parents? So you have his parents flanking him. You have the bride's parents flanking her. You still have the wedding party behind them. You have the photographer taking all these pictures of all these. Because if dad is up there by himself, here's what's going to happen. If dad is up there by himself, the photographer is going taking wonderful pictures of dad doing this toast. But what he's missing is the emotion, or her. He's missing the emotion of mom behind them. They're missing the emotion of the other parents that are behind them. So why not get all of these people together? This is a celebration of family as much as it is a celebration of love.
Right.
So make that part of it. And again, these are offered as ideas. Not every bride and groom want to have. I had a couple just a couple weeks ago. Parents are divorced and remarried. And so we had a conversation about that. Will this work? Guess what? It did. We've got mom and her new husband and dad and his new wife on one side, and we have just the one set of parents on the other. But yes, I mean, this is still a time of family. It's a time of happiness. It's a time of and it's those photographs are timeless. of all those friends and family and happy faces.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Ron, our time is starting to run
Oh,
out here,
man.
unfortunately. But I've got one last question here, and I thought this would be a good way to end here from Mike Anderson. His question was, what do you think is the best Disney customer service rule that helps you in your business?
Customer first. That's it. I mean, it's a matter of every decision, that you make in your business should be made to benefit the customer first and to somehow make a positive difference in their lives. If you run your business in that way, take yourself out of, there are some things you're going to have to think about as far as, where you bank. Those kind of decisions have nothing to do with the customer. But every other decision that you make in how you set up your sales consultations, to how you set up your planning sessions, to how you actually operate at a wedding reception, if every decision you make is made in the interest of the customer first, and if what you do somehow will make a difference in their lives, then that would be the most important thing, because that's the way Disney operates, is that you're a guest and they're going to treat you like that. So you always come first.
Good.
Thank you, Mike, for the question.
Yeah, great question. And thank you for the answer, Ron. That was good stuff. Thank you guys for watching today. We're going to wrap things up. We'll be back every Monday morning throughout the summer. We're going to be releasing a show. Some weeks it'll be live, some weeks it will be recorded, depending upon where we're going to be. Next week's show actually is going to be an interesting show. At 10 a.m. Eastern, we've got Nick Hahn, who's going to be talking about the legal and the illegal music services out there a little bit, and kind of digging into that and why it's important to be getting your music from a legal source. So look for that next Monday. Tonight at 10 o'clock Eastern, we're going to have our Monday night live show where the DJNTV crew's together. Good stuff. Ron?
John?
They want to find information out. They can go where?
They can go to ronruth.com. And that's a website I'm still working on it, but it's in progress. You can email me though through the newspaper, ronruth@discjockeynews.com. And Ben and Rich and anybody else. I mean, I'm happy. I love having conversations. So please feel free to reach out to me if you have additional questions or you want to talk more, or any of the other people who have been with us this morning. It's been great to have all of these here, and I always feel like, I don't know. I love weddings. I'm passionate about what I do, and I hope everybody else is just as, passion is awesome. So keep it if you got it.
Awesome.
And if you don't, find it.
Yeah, but don't fake it.
No, don't.
If you take anything else, don't. Thank you much, Ron. Thank you guys for watching. We will be back again tonight. We'll catch you later. Bye-bye.